What's up, YouTube? Today we're reviewing the 2021 BMW M5 competition. Huge thank you to Hussein over at Koons, Tysons, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram for allowing me to do this review for you guys today. If you're interested in this particular M5 or any Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram product, I'll have his information on screen as well as in the description box down below. But with that said, let's get into the video. First, let's talk about looks. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, this does have the competition package. So one of the things that you get with the competition package is this blacked out exterior trim. But also for 2021, BMW refreshed the design of the M5. So you get new front and rear bumpers. You also get newly designed front headlights and a new grille, as well as on the back, I'm going to show you those taillights and the rear bumper as well. So obviously LED tail lamps, these are smoked and I think that they do look very, very good. If you look down here, you can see that bumper. It's got the nice aggressive diffuser out back. And you do have that competition exhaust back here as well. And I don't think I mentioned this, but this is hatch gray metallic paint and it looks very, very good. Especially in the sunlight, it really pops out. Like that metallic really pops. But here in the shade, you can't even really tell that it's a metallic paint, but in the sun it looks so good. The metallic, like I said, really pops. But let's talk about wheel and tire size here for a minute. These are a 275/35 R20 in the front, and when you move into the rear, the tires get a little thicker. So these are a 285/30 R20, and I think that these Y-spoke rims just look very, very good. You also get those big steel brakes, so you can get carbon ceramic brakes. But I believe the carbon ceramic brakes are like an $8,000 option. I'll put the exact number right here. But the reality is, unless you're going to be really tracking one of these cars, I really don't think that you need the competition brakes. These brakes definitely have enough bite in and of themselves. So unless you want to splurge on the carbon ceramics, I don't think you really have to get them. But you do have this nice little vent right here. And to be honest, I don't really know if this is a functional vent. However, it does look very good, and you can see it says M5 competition right there. Obviously, this is an M car, so you do get the M mirrors right there. So if you don't really know BMWs very well, an easy way to tell if a car is an M car, you have these mirrors right here. And obviously, you can get aftermarket M mirrors and put them on your non-M car, but for the most of the time, that's an easy way to tell if a car is an M car, is that little wing kind of thing on the side of the mirror. But let's move into the interior right here. These are Aragon brown seats right here, and this is a full merino leather interior, which is a $3,500 option. Let's move in and take a look. You see your new 12.3-inch touchscreen right there, but let's start her up and hear what she sounds like. Obviously, steering wheel comes down. Turn that radio off right there, and we'll shut that door right there. And you do see that you've got your little faux carbon fiber trim piece in here that I think looks very good. Obviously, basically your whole door panel is leather wrapped until you get to the bottom down here, but it's still a nice soft touch material down there. You do have a 16 speaker Harman Kardon sound system in here that I think sounds very, very good. Obviously, you got two memory adjustment seats right there and a nice aluminum door handle right here. Unlock and lock buttons right there. More Harman Kardon sound system. I think the Harman Kardon looks very good. However, if you want the upgraded sound system, you can go to the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which I have not heard personally, so I can't tell you if it sounds better or worse or what it sounds like. But one thing I thought was kind of interesting to note is that this competition piece right here is lit up, so at night you'll be able to see your competition door sill right there. However, the M5 part of that is not lit up, but when we get to the back, I'll show you. The M5 part of that is lit up, and I don't know if in the back it has the 5, but I know it at least has the M right there. But you do have your trunk latch right there, so just pull that and your trunk will open like that. Obviously, over here you do have all automatic up and down window switches right there, and you do have this little button right here that puts up that shade back there. And one thing I did want to add is that this air conditioning system is on and the fan is down low. However, just the fan is really quiet, and I think that's just nice and refined. Obviously, this is a BMW, and this car's MSRP was 120,000 and some change. I'll put the exact number right here on screen. However, this car in particular is for sale for $110,000, like I mentioned, at Koons Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Tysons Corner, Virginia. This does have the M seatbelts right here, so you do see that you have your M stitched colors right in the seatbelt. I think that's a really nice touch. And also at night, if it's dark out, these M5 things, both in the driver and passenger seat right here, both light up, and I think that also adds to the luxuriousness of this car right here. And obviously, I'm gonna step out of the vehicle just because I want to take a look at these M seats. So step out. And you know, I personally am a huge fan of this leather interior color. Like I mentioned, this is the Aragon interior. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but like I said, see, you can see how the M5 is now lit up. But you do have this beautiful accent black piece of leather that goes down the center of the seat, and I think that adds an element of sportiness to the interior. I don't know, I think it just separates the middle of the seat very, very nicely. I believe these are a 20-way adjustable seat, so you can definitely get very comfortable in it. And stepping back in, if this is your first time on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what your favorite part of this M5 is. I'm really gunning for 1,000 subscribers, and I can only do it with your guys' help. So please hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. But let's get back into the video. Obviously, like I mentioned, this is the M5, so you do have your M Sport buttons right here. So you got your M1 button right here and M2 button right there. So you can adjust this car to basically be exactly as you want it. So you want your engine in Sport Plus, you can do that. If you want your chassis in Comfort mode, you can do that. And basically you can have engine in Sport Plus, chassis in Comfort mode, and you can all configure that through these buttons right here. So if you want this to be your super sporty button and everything in Sport Plus, you can do that. And if you want this to be engine in Sport Plus and suspension in Comfort mode, you can do that in this mode right here. So basically these are your different drive modes. So like I said, if you want full on sportiness, you can do that. If you want half sportiness, you can do that in that button as well. This thing also has adaptive cruise control and a heads-up display up there. But also you do have a fully digital dash right here, which is a nice screen. I really like the way that the screen looks, and you can definitely monitor your RPM. So when you get higher up into the RPMs, it'll start like flashing yellow and red and stuff like that right over here, which I think looks very good. I like the colors that they used, and you can see you got your little M5 badge right there. And for 2021, this screen is now touchscreen, so you don't only have to configure the screen through this iDrive knob right here. You can actually touch the screen and switch in between different things. We're gonna click this back button right here, back button again. And obviously you do have wireless Apple CarPlay and now wireless Android Auto for 2021 as well. And you, obviously it was just telling me that you can turn up the volume like that, turn down the volume like that. And if you want to skip a song, let's say you're on Apple CarPlay, you can do something like this and it'll push the song back, like you can see right there. So it's basically the same thing as pressing this button right here, but it's kind of, it's somewhat like a gimmick a little bit, but I think it's pretty cool that you don't have to touch that while you're driving it. Honestly, from the other BMWs that I've driven, I've messed with this system before, and it actually does make things a little bit easier when you're on the road to just do something like this or something like that instead of reaching over and grabbing the knob. But you do have your navigation stuff, your media stuff through here. Right now I am on Apple CarPlay. You have your navigation screen here, car stuff, so you can basically go through your vehicle status, your different settings. This car does have this ambient lighting, so you can switch in between different colors if you so desire. But you can see that ambient lighting follows throughout the entire interior. Again, passenger seat, very nice. Nice side bolsters. I think I mentioned this before. I'm 5'9" and 145 pounds, and these seats are definitely a nice seat. They're very comfortable in my opinion. I definitely can see how if you're a heavier person, let's say like 300 plus pounds, you probably won't be the most comfortable in this car. However, you know, I definitely do have a good amount of room on both sides before the side bolsters start to get tight. But obviously you do have your climate control down here, and there's a little touch screen right here. So if you want your heated seat on, just touch it. And these are, like I mentioned, this is a touch screen, so there are no buttons or anything here. And you do have your gear shift knob right here. So to put it in reverse, you push it to the left and up, and now you're in reverse. This thing does have a 360-degree view camera, and that is included in the executive package for $3,350. And with the executive package, you get a 360-degree view camera right there, ventilated front seats with massagers. You also get heated rear seats as well as parking sensors in the front and rear. Power rear window shade, like I mentioned, which is this button right here, and you can see it go down right back there. And you also get self park assist as well as soft closing doors, and I'll show you that soft close feature right here. And the door's closed. Stepping back in, I really like these pedals down here. I'm not sure if the GoPro is going to pick them up. They are aluminum with rubber in the middle, and I think that they both just look very good. You also have the driver dead pedal right there, as well as the latch for your engine release in the front. But moving on, this car does have a wireless charging pad right here, USB port, 12-volt outlet right here, and if you are looking to use a USB-C port, your USB-C port would be right in here. And you got a decent amount of storage in here with a little light right there. I kind of like how this opens up from the middle like that, and you can just close one side if you want, or close both sides like that, whatever you want to do. Electronic parking brake right here. This is all your kind of M mode buttons right here, and your camera button right there, as well as your backup sensors button right there. Obviously, you should always have your exhaust mode open. You always want to hear your car, especially if you got an M5. But if you click this M mode button right here, you can see that it put us into a sportier mode right there, as well as if I push this setup button right here, it brings you into this setup. So right now we're in efficient, comfort, and four-wheel drive. So if we want to go into sport mode, I click this button, I click this iDrive button once, and if I push it again, now we're in Sport Plus, and scroll the wheel to the right to go down. Now we're in chassis. Do we want to be in Sport or Sport Plus? It's the same exact thing, just push the button down. Now we're in Sport Plus in chassis, and again, wheel to the right. Steering, now we're in Sport, and we're not going to be going into four-wheel drive Sport or two-wheel drive. However, if you do want to put this car into two-wheel drive, you can do that, but you do have to turn off your traction control, which we are not going to do. But let's put us back into normal mode right there, and you can see your M mode, road, sport, and track. And to put it in track mode, you just push and hold this button right here. Now we're in track. So track mode is active. You can see intelligent safety deactivated. So now the screen turned off and stuff like that. If you want it to come back on, just hold that button again, and we'll put ourselves right back into road because we're not going to be on the track. I think I mentioned this, but obviously you do have a electronic parking brake right there, and if you're stuck in traffic, and if you don't want to put your foot on the brake and take your foot off the brake and put your foot on the brake and hold the brake for a long periods of time, just push your foot on the brake and press this auto hold button, and then the car is actually going to hold your brake pedal down. And to release your brake pedal, just push the gas again, and if you're coming to a stop again for a long period of time, you put your foot back on the brake again, but you got to push it in a little bit extra, and then it's going to hold you in that spot right there. One thing I do like is it does have your little speed limit down here, as well as your fuel gauge right there, your fuel range right there, and your coolant temperature right over there, as well as your outside ambient temperature right there. Obviously, you do have a dimming rear view mirror right here, so if somebody behind you's got their high beams on, it'll just dim the mirror for you by itself. But this car does have a sunroof right here, so just pull back on that and the shade will come back like that. And if you want the sunroof open, just pull back on that, and now your sunroof will open. And it's actually a decent sized sunroof. I think that's actually a pretty big sunroof, considering that it's not a panoramic sunroof. But I think that that sunroof is a very good size, and we'll close that right there. Obviously you can tilt the sunroof up like that, but we're not going to be messing with that. You do have your lights right here, and they're good. They put out a good amount of light. Obviously I'm not using it at night, so I can't tell you like that. If you want to turn on all your lights, you push that button right there, and that'll really light up the interior like that. But let's close that shade, so just close it like that, and now your shade will close. One thing I did want to mention is that this car does have the Alcantara headliner up here, which I think just looks very, very good, and again adds to the premiumness and sportiness of the BMW M5 competition. But let's move into the rear, and we'll show you guys what the rear is like, because there's actually a decent amount of space. Like I mentioned just a little bit earlier in the video, the M right here is lit up. So if you can see, right down here, you've got the lit up M emblem right there. Whereas in the front, the M5 is not lit up, but the competition is lit up. There is no competition badge back here, but there is a lit up M badge right there. And I think that just looks very good. Especially, you know, if you got passengers or something, you know, it just lets them know, hey, you're in an M car. And one thing I do like about these rear seats is that I feel like I'm sitting down low. I'm sitting in the car, not on top of the car. So, you know, if your buddy's in the front seat and he's going crazy, like driving fast as heck, I definitely feel like I'm safe back here. And this car also just feels very solid, you know. And another thing that's included in that executive package is these shades right here that close like that. So you know, if you don't want people to see you, or if there's sunlight or something like that, you can just put these up and down just like that, and it's obviously on that side as well. Or you could tell your driver, hey, you know, I'm getting sun on my neck, I don't really like that. Like I said, you do have that rear shade back there that only your driver can push, because the buttons are right by those window switches in the front. Obviously, some more of that carbon fiber trim right here and that awesome ambient lighting. I really do like that ambient lighting. Like I said, follows throughout the entire interior. More of those Harman Kardon speakers right here. Automatic up and down windows in the back. The window is locked from the passenger seat right up there. But your HVAC system is right here. And you do have a 4-zone climate control system. So everybody can have their own settings. So if this person wants AC, this person wants heat, this person wants AC, this person wants heat, you can do that all through right here and up there. But let's talk about connectivity for a second. You do have 2 USB-C ports right here, as well as a 12-volt outlet right there. And if you got your phone charging and you don't really want to hold it like right up here or something like that, you can just set your phone right in there, and that's a pretty deep amount of space down in there. But talk about cup holders. You got 2 cup holders right here. And one thing I did want to add is when you close this, you just got this really nice strap that goes across in that Oregon colored leather, and it just feels very nice, along with that stitching on the top and the bottom. Obviously, M seat belts follow through to the rear, and I've got, like I mentioned, in the front seat, I'm 5'9", and I've got plenty of knee room, and I'm adjusted to myself, which I have my seat adjusted in the front to 5'9". Obviously, you've got your you've got your pockets back here for a little bit of extra storage. More HVAC vents right here. And obviously, this leather door in the back is just very nice, just like the front. And I do really like how it's like stitched across the middle. I think it just really looks very luxurious in this sporty car right here. And you also do have a really nice pad for your elbow right here. So I could definitely see myself doing a long road trip in this car. It's just very, very comfortable, both front and rear. And you can haul ass and this thing will take it. It's very, very smooth at high speeds. I haven't had this car up at high speeds, but I know that these cars are basically built to speed on the Autobahn. And you can definitely tell these motors are geared towards higher end power. But you do have another cup holder down in here with some more storage space down in there. There's actually a decent amount of storage space in there, so you could definitely fit a couple of water bottles down in there, as well as your phone or something like that. Again, more of that soft material on the bottom, whereas some of these cheaper manufacturers, this stuff would be like a hard touch plastic. This is not a hard touch plastic. This is like a soft touch, kind of fake, kind of faux rubber feeling, but it feels very nice. Let's move into the middle seat, talk about middle seat comfort, and then after that, let's get this thing on the road, because I really want to talk about performance. If you're in the middle, it's probably not the most comfortable seat. Obviously, this car is more of a 4-seater, however, it is a 5-seater. But I would say, unless you really have to bring 5 people in this car, this is a 4-person car, because this middle seat, honestly, is not the most comfortable seat. But like I said, these outer seats and the front seats are very, very comfortable. So no worries about comfort. This car is very, very comfortable, as long as you're not sitting in this seat for extended periods of time. But you do have more lights back here. And if you want to turn on your big dome light back here, it's the middle button right there. But let's turn that off. And obviously it's surrounded by piano black, which I think looks very good until you start getting fingerprints on it. Then it starts looking dirty. Same thing on this side. Nice looking seat, very comfortable seat, same amount of storage space as on this side. So we've talked about the exterior, we've talked about the interior. Now let's talk about performance and see what this thing's like to drive. So I will see you guys in the driver's seat. But again, sorry, before we get into the performance, let's talk about this trunk storage space back here. So you do have an automatic opening trunk. So just put your fingers on that button right there. Trunk comes up, And you can see these beautiful M5 floor mats back here, nice and clean. Plenty of storage space. You can definitely fit a few suitcases back here, a bunch of duffel bags. Basically, whatever you need to fit on a day-to-day basis, you're gonna have no problem. There's an awesome amount of storage space back here. So if you're worried about storage, don't worry. This has got plenty of it. But let's close that trunk right here, and it's automatic closing as well. And boom. Take a look at that thick rear, man. It just looks so good. I love these new LED taillights. I think they just look so good, so awesome for 2021. And I think this looks way better than an AMG, but that's just my personal opinion. I just like BMWs just a little bit better than Mercedes. But let's take a look at that rear diffuser one more time. Just so aggressive. You got that M Sport exhaust that comes with the M5 competition. And obviously you can see you've got your backup sensors and your backup camera right there. But I think before we get onto the road, let's hear a little startup and rev of the BMW M5. Now on to my favorite part of the review, which is the driving portion of the review. And the reason being is that you learn so much about a car by driving it. You learn the characteristics of how it goes around turns, how it handles at high speeds, and just stuff like that. But there are a few things that we got to talk about before we get into how this car drives and stuff like that. And that is the performance. This BMW M5 competition is powered by a 4.4 liter twin turbocharged V8 motor that makes 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. And I don't think I mentioned this yet, but that's able to push this car from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. And this is one of the first cars that I've been in where I'm like, holy crap, this is very, very fast. And this is up there with one of the quickest cars that I've ever driven. I've driven a Lamborghini Aventador, but I never got to really floor the Lamborghini from a stop. I never did a launch control in the Lamborghini. And I've done a quick test from like 0 to 60 in this car, and this car is just absolutely insane. If you want a daily driver that you're gonna be able to push yourself from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds while also being super comfortable and able to drive this car from your house to the office, or you know, whatever you do on a day-to-day basis, this thing can definitely do it and more. You can take this thing on track, you can take this thing on the back roads, take this thing down to Skyline Drive, or if you're just gonna do a road trip from where I'm at in Virginia down to Miami, Florida, you can do that in a very comfortable manner, especially considering that this thing is very isolated from the outside, so road noise is to a minimum. You can tell it's a BMW in that it's luxury focused, but also being sporty focused as well, because you can feel the firmness in the suspension. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is the M5 competition. So the competition package is a $7,600 option, and it includes blacked out exterior trim, as well as an active M Sport exhaust and a stiffer suspension and suspension components. Like I mentioned, it's the 4.4 liter V8, makes 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque, and it goes through an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission that has lightning quick shifts. I think BMW actually went from a dual clutch transmission to this ZF 8-speed, and that just goes to show that this transmission is an awesome transmission. I've driven this transmission in the X3 M competition that I did a video with a while ago, and that transmission, same exact basically as this. Oh, almost hit a squirrel. And that transmission is lightning quick, but that is the twin turbo 6-cylinder. This is the twin turbo 8-cylinder. But you know, they both have their pluses and minuses. I think this car sounds a little bit better. This car's got a little bit more torque, but we're not comparing those two cars. One thing that you're able to do with the M5 competition that you're not able to do with the X3 M competition is you're actually able to put this thing into 2-wheel drive mode. So if you want to do some drifting, or you want to do some burnouts, or if you just want a car that's going to feel like a rear-wheel drive car, you can do that with this car. And we are going through these back roads, and this thing just, I mean, it's absolutely insane of how it just masks speed. I mean, it's insane. This car is absolutely incredible. And this is one of the first super sedans that I've ever driven. And you can definitely tell that it's a super sedan pretty much, because It's so fast, it handles so well. It's got the brakes, and that's just the dealer plate in the back. But you know, it looks beautiful, it handles amazing, and the steering is very, very direct. Like, this is probably one of the most direct steering systems that I felt in any car. Very, very direct. Like, you put the steering just a little bit to the left or to the right, and that's the exact spot where this car is going to go. This car is, however, this car is in Sport Plus mode for the steering, as well as Sport Plus mode for the engine, as well as the transmission. There's not really a Sport Plus mode for the transmission. However, there are these little things that look like kind of like slashes, and if you push the button on the right side, it makes the transmission shift quicker. If you push it down to the left, it's a slower shift, but also a more comfortable shift. And it's not so sporty oriented, whereas like when you push the button all the way to the right and you go into your third slash, that is when the shifts are the most sporty and the most dramatic. But like I mentioned, this has the 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, and this motor is capable of doing 15 miles per gallon city and 21 miles per gallon highway, if that's what you're worried about. But if you're buying a car like this, I really doubt that you're worried about the miles per gallon, but you know, you might be, just because it is going to be your daily driver, and you do have to put premium fuel in this. So that's something to take into account, especially, you know, it's going to be somewhat expensive to run, just because you're not getting the greatest gas mileage, and you're also putting in premium fuel. But another thing that I wanted to add into the video is that for 2021, the M5 competition got revised adaptive dampers in hopes of having a better ride quality, just geared towards more comfort, just so it's not so stiff. And you know, I don't know if I can tell a difference because I've never driven like a 2018 M5. But one thing I did want to add, or one thing that I did kind of feel in those revised dampers, that even though the suspension is very firm, it also just goes over the bumps very, very nicely, and you can feel that it absorbs the bumps very nicely as well, especially considering that this has 35 section tires. So those are pretty thin tires, and the way that it just absorbs these bumps, you can definitely tell that they focused a little bit more attention into the adaptive dampers for 2021, just because it rides so well. But maybe it rode so well in 2018. But we're going around a decently quick turn right here, and I mean, it's just absolutely crazy how well this thing can take turns. And you know, it's got that low end torque, and it's got that high RPM horsepower that you want out of an M5. I mean, this is probably, I mean, I understand why BMW says that these are the ultimate driving machines. You know, maybe not like their regular 330i or like their 440 or 435i or stuff like that. Maybe those aren't the ultimate driving machines. However, go out and test drive an M series car, whether it be an M3, M4, M5, any of the M series cars, X3M, X5M, because these really are the ultimate driving machine when you get them in their M performance variant. And you can hear that shift out back, man. These things just sound so good. Downshift. And the downshifts and upshifts are just lightning quick. Like I said, steering is incredible. Suspension, let's see. I mean, it handles the undulations so well, especially like going over like hills and stuff like that. I mean, this car, you can tell they really paid attention to the handling and suspension. I mean, it's just incredible. And I know this is probably one of my first super fast sedans that I've ever driven, but man, this is unlike pretty much anything else. I've also driven an M3, but this was like I think it was like a 2017 BMW M3. It was not a competition, and it was a manual, and I didn't particularly like that M3 all that much. I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I didn't really like it. But this car is just, I mean, you can just tell that it's an M5 and it's not an M3. I mean, there's just so much, it's just so much faster. It sounds better because it's a V8, and you can feel that torque. I mean, it's crazy. This is definitely probably one of the favorite cars that I've ever driven. But you know, it's just, you can definitely tell, yeah, while it is definitely a super SUV, you can just tell, like, we'll put it back into just regular mode right here, and you can just tell that you can daily drive one of these things by no problem. Like, I'm going over just regular bumps and stuff like that, and it totally transforms the car between sport mode and comfort mode. Like, now it's just super comfortable, absorbs all the bumps. The steering is definitely a lot lighter than it was. I mean, it's just incredible how you can totally transform a car from a total sport sedan, or basically a total sports car, into a total comfort sedan. Like, it's incredible with the technology that they have these days with these adaptive dampers and just adaptive suspensions. It's just incredible that you can go from a super luxurious, comfortable cruiser into a sport SUV. And even in comfort mode, it handles so well. Like, there's definitely a difference in between the comfort and the sport mode handling wise. There's a little more body roll in comfort mode. But man, like, it's just, like I said, this thing's a two-faced car. I mean, it's a total crazy sports car when you want it to be, but it's also a super comfortable cruiser when you want it to be as well. And you know, I think I mentioned this, but paddle shifters are very responsive. Like I said earlier in the video, you do have M1 and M2, and yeah, you can definitely notice a difference between comfort mode and sport mode when it comes to handling wise. Definitely handles better in Sport Plus, but we're gonna put this thing back into sport mode, and we're gonna do an acceleration here real quick. And I'm gonna pull up my other camera, and let's do an acceleration. A little 0 to 60, and here we go. So fast. This thing is crazy quick, guys. I mean, this thing is legit. I mean, there might be some people sleeping on this car, but man, this thing is so quick and so fast. Like, once you get above like 65 miles an hour, this thing really starts to pull. Like, I could only imagine having this thing on the Autobahn and hitting 190 miles an hour. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. You can definitely feel that this thing is a very fast car, especially in the higher RPMs at higher speeds. It's just absolutely crazy. But you know, it is an awesome, awesome vehicle. But you know, we've talked about the performance, we've talked about the interior, we've talked about the exterior, and now we've talked about how this thing drives. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give this video a big thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm really gunning for 1,000 subscribers, and I can only do it with your guys' help. If you guys don't hit that subscribe button, I'm unable to hit my 1,000 subscriber goal, and I'm really gunning for this 1,000 subscribers. It's a big milestone for me. So like I said, please hit that subscribe button. I really want to get this channel not only to 1,000 subscribers, but I'd like to get this thing to 100,000 subscribers. And call me crazy, but I really do think that it is possible, and I think we can do that within a year or two. But like I said, I can only do it with your guys' help. And these brakes are absolutely crazy. I think I added that into the video, but I wanted to add that to the people who are still watching. Brakes are awesome. You do have the carbon ceramic brake option. But like I said, that's the end of today's video. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.